Officially, the term is recalled, but perhaps a little more colloquially, San Francisco yesterday voted to fire its left-wing progressive prosecutor, Chesa Boudin. With more than a year left in his term, even Democrats had enough of the city's rising crime. That got others wondering whether Boudin is just the first to go. Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon, another progressive, has come under similar scrutiny. Lanhee Chen is a Republican candidate for California State Controller, and I believe the only statewide official possibly to be a Republican come November, depending on how the election goes. Lanhee, good to see you. We appreciate it. Is there an opportunity now, either for conservative Democrats or for Republicans in California, as a backlash to the policies we saw in San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it in San Francisco. I think the potential that we see it in Los Angeles with George Gascon, that recall effort is underway. And I think it does demonstrate what the far left bounds of progressivism are in these cities. You know, the notion that you can sort of have soft on crime policies in major cities, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, in terms of what happened in San Francisco. Lawlessness, smash and grab, people knowing that if they were to take or rob certain businesses up to a certain amount, they would not be subject to jail time. All of these things are known, and the lack of prosecution and a couple of very high-profile cases in San Francisco, for example, people who were responsible for committing relatively gruesome crimes where they weren't punished maybe to the extent that folks in the public wanted. All of these things together create, I think, what is the philosophy or what is the basis for change and potential recall, not just of Chesa Boudin in San Francisco last night, but potentially George Gascon and others down the road.
Paint a picture for us, as a citizen of California, how bad it's gotten. I mean, not just violent crime, but we're hearing more and more about things like residential burglaries, people who are home when thieves try to come in and rob them. I would imagine even outside of your political circles, your friend circles are talking about violent crime and some of the risks and threats that are out there.
Well, it is a challenge, particularly in the big cities in California. So Los Angeles and San Francisco are examples 1 and 2. Some of you may have seen the iconic sign of somebody who had a car and put a sign on the window saying, "Please don't break in. You've already taken everything from the car." And that's the kind of, unfortunately, the kind of thing that we're seeing more frequently in major cities in California. Now, obviously, there is this question of, well, how much are these burglars and others making away with? The broader issue is a quality of life question. And that's really the problem we have in California, is that in too many of our major cities, for the amount of tax revenue that the state collects, for the amount that the state does in terms of regulation, the level of sort of people's living in California, given all of these public safety challenges, is seen by many as being a challenge. And so it is the combination of what we're seeing in terms of actual crimes being committed with the reality that folks pay a lot of money to live in California, whether it's housing costs or costs for gas and food. And so the combination of those factors, I think, has become deeply frustrating, and I think drove the recall of Chesa Boudin last night, and will drive, I think, some potentially unusual outcomes later this year.
Thinking about unusual outcomes, I'm looking right now at the map from last night. Save a few counties around San Francisco and up the northern coast. I see you smiling because you know where I'm going here. A Republican won, Lanhee Chen, in the controller's race. But in virtually every other statewide race, Republicans didn't stand a chance. Why is that? And does the same factors carry over for November?
Yeah, I mean, we have focused my campaign exclusively on fiscal questions, on questions of, do you believe the state is spending your money in the right way? Do you believe that you have the level of transparency you deserve around spending on homelessness and education and other issues? And so we've been very, very focused. Some might say too narrowly focused, but I think that's the focus of the job. The Controller of California is the chief financial officer, the chief accountability officer of the state. And so I think that message of needing to put a check on what everyone else in Sacramento is doing resonated with voters, particularly we noted in Southern California. That's an area where Republicans have lost a lot of ground. LA County, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, the major counties in the LA media market. Republicans have lost a lot of share there over the last 20 years. And our campaign managed to do very, very well, certainly in Orange and a few other counties around there. And we held our own in LA County. So whether the trend continues or not, it's going to be up to us to run a good campaign and to stay focused on those issues. Obviously, Democrats are going to be very, very focused in terms of trying to take me out. But we're going to do everything we can to keep making the case that you need balance in state government.
I think it was interesting today on the tarmac as the president actually headed out to California. He's in Los Angeles right now. To reporters, I think the voters sent a clear message last night. Both parties have to step up and do something about crime as well as gun violence. Clearly, Chesa Boudin did not get that message based on what he said last night. But do you worry that if Democrats find religion when it comes to crime, which certainly the LA mayor's race is trending in that direction, you lose this opportunity come November?
Well, I think the challenge, I mean, obviously, if we could solve the crime problem between now and November, I'd be for it. I just don't think that that's going to happen, given that you've got a number of Democrats who have repeatedly been out on the record who are doing well still in California, who have been vocally in favor of defunding the police in the past, who are in favor of far left progressive policies on public safety issues. So I think the challenge is that the Democrats who are running in California, by and large, have adopted and embraced the policies that Joe Biden has now spoken out against and is trying to turn the National Democratic Party away from. The reality is that the Democratic Party in California is out of step in this regard because they are embracing folks like Chesa Boudin, like George Gascon, who are adopting these soft on crime policies that unfortunately have made some really wonderful cities, San Francisco and LA, into places that a lot of people probably don't really want to go anymore.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Lanhee Chen, candidate for California State Comptroller. Always good to have you on. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And a lot of people moving out of.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.